Ultimately, we know deeply that the other side of every fear is a freedom. Marilyn Ferguson. And my friends, every day we train ourselves to push through those would-be fears by practice trading. It can be scary when you hit that button for the first time, putting real money into a trade. But you get over those fears by practice trading for however long it takes, and then fractional trading. And what we mean by that is small amounts of money, $100 if you're looking at something like the S&P, instead of having to put 400 and something dollars down for one share. Most brokers, many of them, have fractional trading, or if you're trading with something smaller amounts, one share, two shares. If you're starting off learning how to trade options, of course, looking for smaller cost options where you're not putting a lot of money down. And again, you lose 2, 3, 4%, not a big deal. If it's $100 that you're trading in a fractional share, you're talking about losing a few bucks. And again, it lets you practice getting into, getting out of trades. And whenever I'm practicing a new method, something that I'm trying for the first time, maybe I'm using a different type of indicator, I'm looking at different kinds of ETFs. Maybe you haven't ever gotten into commodity ETFs. You don't know how they're going to work. Use small amounts and you practice your methods. You talk to any successful trader, they will tell you. They practice trade, then they fractionally trade. Then once they get good, they've proven to themselves that they can actually do the method. Then and only then do they make up their own minds to actually use real money. And you have to hold yourself accountable. Otherwise, you will just be gambling. And guess what? The house always wins in the end with gambling. That is not where we want to go. Now, let's jump into these charts. Stocks are mixed. Bonds and Bitcoin are up. Gold is down. And ding, 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 ding. We have a weekly vertical crossover in Bitcoin. It was, depending on what you look at, if you look at Grayscale Bitcoin, up just about 5%. You look at the Bitcoin ETFs, up around 10%, BITO, BTF, and XBTF. So it was a good 2 weeks for Bitcoin. And now we have that weekly vertical crossover in effect. We'll see how well that does us. You look back in time at the prior weekly vertical crossovers, both up and down. They were good portends of where the market was going. Short-term Bitcoin can be quite difficult and quite volatile, but if you look at these long-term trends, they've been good to us. Now, again, doesn't mean that's going to be the way it is in the future, but we have a pretty good track record of the way that investor sentiment has played out in the past. So this is what we see happening with Bitcoin, weekly vertical crossover. We sent that out in the texting service last night. We also told you there might be weekly vertical crossovers in the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. There were not. But did happen in Bitcoin. Told you to be prepared for that. Second week of up movement, price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator heading up. 2-day chart slacking off some. And again, you could have had some trepidation there. Don't blame you at all. We see the derivative oscillator slowing down in its up movement, price percent oscillator flattening. Red open box candle. Now it is sitting right above that 2-day trend line with that candle now complete. We look at the half day, and of course, let's go to XBTF. You can see again where a little bit of moving around up and down in the morning, but pushing on up there through the afternoon wasn't enough to carry the half-day chart over. But again, because there had been a great deal of down movement that prior day on Thursday. But again, what are we banking on and looking at? We're looking at the big charts. And of course, the 2-day slacking off a little bit, but a nice up week overall on that weekly. It is exactly what we like to see, and that weekly vertical crossover has occurred. Now let's go from Bitcoin to stocks. The S&P 500 up a little bit, 0.28%, but no weekly vertical crossover. We see the candle moving up, the price percent oscillator moving up, derivative oscillators turn positive, but no weekly vertical crossover yet. We can see what's been happening over the last 2 days as we have almost a doji, a red open box spinning top, a very small one. It has popped through the 2-day trend line. Price percent oscillator consequently is flattening. Derivative oscillator losing some momentum. Half day, you can see 2 days of down movement as far as the candles go. We did say it was up a little bit for the day, 0.28%. These are Heiken Ashi candlesticks. Price percent oscillator losing a little bit of that downward momentum, but heading down nonetheless. So that is where we are on the S&P. No weekly vertical crossover. We look at the Qs. It was down for the day, 0.19%. This is the NASDAQ 100, a nice up week. Again, not enough energy to cross over in the price percent oscillator. Derivative oscillator did turn green. 2-day, not enough to push it through the 2-day trend line, unlike what we saw with the S&P. So the Qs a little stronger, sitting right there on the 2-day trend line. Price percent oscillator weakening some, derivative oscillator weakening some. And again, 2 days you can see of down candles. Price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator heading down. So what are we waiting for? To see if indeed we're going to have a weekly vertical crossover, or you can have other things occur. You can have that 2-day cross back over going down and have a 2-day recross going down. Don't know if that's going to occur or anything. Just telling you what we're seeing today. Now, let's move on. Take a look at 20-year bonds. What's going on there? We had 3 weeks of movement heading down. That ended, as far as the strong down movement, on the week ending the 25th of March. This last week is a solid green down candle, not reaching a lower low. This solid green represents a slowdown in the down movement. Consequently, price percent oscillator flattening some on the weekly chart. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. We can see 2 green open box spinning tops. Price percent oscillator heading up, not quite crossing over, going up. And the derivative oscillator still negative, but losing downward momentum. Now, what's going to happen? Are we going to have a 2-day crossover going up? Or are we going to have a bounce off the red signal line that might give you an opportunity to get back into shorting bonds? Don't know if that's going to happen. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then it'll take us out of a bond play for sure. And we'll just wait and see. Now, if you wanted to short bonds, what could you do? Well, if you're a Patreon member, then of course you have our 3-part training, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. All you need to know to get started in a great teaching and training on how to buy and sell options, calls, and puts. In this, of course, TLT, you could buy puts in that if you had things bounce off there. You can also go to something called TBF. Tango, Bravo, Foxtrot. What is that? Well, that is a short fund. That is a ProShares short of the 20-year bond fund. It is set up to move percentage v percentage up when bonds are going down, and of course, consequently, goes down when bonds are going up. Just another little interesting bit of sophistication for you as you start figuring out how these markets work and the things that you can do. And again, before you do any of these things, you need to practice them until you get them right. Perfect practice makes perfect. So we see where things are on the 2-day, half-day. We can see where things have been moving up, popped down some in the morning on Friday, and then recovered in the afternoon to be up just 0.23%. But again, price percent oscillator heading up, derivative oscillator losing a little bit of momentum there from that pop down in the morning. That is where we are on bonds. We'll be waiting to see what happens to that 2-day chart in particular. Lastly, we go to gold. Gold down for the day, 0.64%. And of course, since gold most recently peaked back on the week ending the 11th of March, we've seen things just excuse me, deteriorate and head down on gold. We ended the week with the price percent oscillator still positive but heading down. Derivative oscillator has been going down since it peaked on the same week when the price of gold most recently peaked. We look at the 2-day. We have a green hammer, upside down hammer there. We ended the 2-day candle for the week on Friday. Price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator still quite negative, losing some downward momentum. Price is sitting right there on that downward heading trend line. So we'll continue to watch, wait, and see. I keep hoping that we're going to see the price of gold rotate over in that 2-day recross going up. Hasn't happened yet. We look at the half day, we can see where gold was trying for 2 days. That was Wednesday rather, and Thursday, and then dropping over Friday. That is where we are, folks. We so appreciate you being with us. Patreon members, do not forget, the first Wednesday in April is next Wednesday, and we cannot wait to have you with us. We will be having that training. I think that's April the 6th, if I'm getting my days right in April. And it's always at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be Eastern Daylight Time, 12:30 in the afternoon. Everything is in your show notes. Everything's in all the stuff that we've sent to you. It's posted everywhere. We'll, of course, continue to send out notifications. You got a notification in your Charting Crypto this week. You got a notification in your 20 weekly vertical crossovers. All sorts of stuff there. Thank you so much again, my friends. Hope you have a great weekend. Can't wait for this next trading week. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.